Hello everyone, it's Tote to My Goats here. I just wanted to put together a tutorial about how to create your own, I guess they're called alpha trees or plane trees or even X trees or Y trees. I think we'll probably more get into the X trees versus the Y trees today. They're just easier for me. Um, but I have been noticing, there's some trees that we have available on MXP mods and things that they get used a lot. So perhaps it would be good to kind of show some of the available trees on Blender Kit and how we can use these to make other models in the future. So I like Blender Kit a lot. It's very easy to work with within Blender. I do subscribe for the full plan, which is about $10 a month. But I just think it's a really handy tool. So I very much recommend getting the Blender Kit add-on installed. Um, you don't have to have this for this example. The reason why I'm just showing you this is because I'm going to take an object, a very highly detailed object. You can see this has got a 1.1 million faces on it for this one tree. But I want to convert this into an X-plane tree and show you how you can do it as well. So I'll just grab this model from Blender Kit. When I click on this, it's going to give me this copy search term here. So I'll copy this. I'm just going to hop over to Blender and you'll see that I have the Blender Kit add-on installed. So I get this little drop down in my right below my submenu. It is just another submenu, you could say. You can always toggle it on and off if you don't want to see what it's kind of displaying here. But when you have a code copied, it'll actually give you a little preview of that object here in this window. You can, like I said, turn it on and turn it off. Really cool is all I got to do is just click this, and it's going to add it right at the origin. And now I have a tree in my project. We'll look at this tree real fast. Um, Scroll on in here. You can see it's pretty nice, pretty well detailed. Can't move. Um, and I'll just show you what it looks like here in the cycles render. So without the orange lines, I mean, overall, that's a pretty nice looking tree. But I'm just going to turn on the statistics and show you. Right now, we're dealing with roughly 1.1 million faces on this guy. So that's probably not going to go into MX bikes or, other things that you might want to use it with, but primarily for MX bikes. So I'm going to show you how, real quick, we'll just convert this into an X tree. So first thing I want to do, I'm just going to leave this. I'm going to go back to shader mode. I'm going to add a camera to our scene here. Okay, now I have the camera. I'm going to go down here to this camera properties. I'm going to change the type to an orthographic. And then you're going to want to get a feel for how big your tree is. You'll notice here this tree, I'm trying to find the center of origin, looks like it's at the bottom, so that's just fine. I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to tighten this up and move it kind of right at the center point. And then we'll look at the tree again real fast and notice how this is roughly 13.4 meters tall. Really what you want to do is take a note of what your largest dimension is out of these three dimensions, and that would be the Z dimension. So we're going to start with that as our orthographic scale. We're going to basically try to line up with that, or, choose something a little bit bigger than that, I would recommend. So I'll go back to selecting the camera. We're going to change the orthographic scale. I said 13.4. I'm just going to do 14 to kind of bump that up a little bit. Oh yeah, and then also kind of just make sure you've got your camera facing at 90 degrees X and set these rotations to 0. Now that you've got your orthographic scale set to 14 and your rotations all up to speed, we'll go ahead and head over to the render tab. First, you'll want to probably reduce this to about 128, I don't know, 256. Doesn't really matter. The higher up you go, the better quality photo you'll get, but it's going to take much longer. You don't really get, it starts to be a bit of a diminishing returns above, 128, 256 when it comes to still image here. So I'm just going to set that a little bit lower. We'll scroll down here. I'm going to set film to transparent, and you'll see that should change in cycles. You'll now see this background. It looks like a transparent checkerboard background. And then we've got that set up. And then the last step is to go to the output and choose a resolution. I think for a tree, 2048 is probably going to be just fine. You can choose whatever works. This might be a little too big. Who knows? Okay, cool. So we have a camera. It's roughly the size of our tree. It's just not quite lined up with it. So the only thing you need to do is just move it up. And I say go about 2/3 of the way up the tree's width, or I'm sorry, height. And you can see maybe that a little bit, about half or so, or a little less than half. You just kind of have to play around with it. And depending on how high it is or whatever, you just want to make sure that your camera is going to be able to capture the whole thing. And you can also use this orthographic view by clicking the Y here. And that'll give you a better, like a flatter view, okay? Now another thing is you may want to cut off the roots. It's totally up to you to decide how you want this to look. Um, for my trees I've been creating, I've been, just cutting off the roots. You could leave them. You never know how your terrain's going to shape up, and you might want to have something that, looks like you have some roots exposed or something when it's on a hillside. Who knows? But I just kind of bump it up and cut off the bottom there. So see this camera, right, is now fully enclosing this object. So what I can do is click F12 to begin a render. And here's what you're going to want to do is play with some of the lighting, okay? My first go here, I'm kind of noticing that the lighting's messing with me a bit. I'm going to actually go into the world shader editor. So you're just going to be on shader editor, go to world. I've been using this sky texture here. I think all you got to do is just go add texture, sky texture, and you'll have that available. Just drop that into your world, move this over to your surface, and then I like to put the sun just basically straight up and down for these photos. You'll see we'll go back into the render, and you kind of get a little bit more highlighting at the top. Another thing you can do is maybe reduce the sun size. I'm trying to think here. You can also maybe bring down some of the air and the dust to kind of clean it up. Now, I'm not the most proficient at Blender, so I imagine there's better ways to do lighting than what I just showed you. But that's kind of really how I know how to do it. And so if anyone wants to drop a comment or, let me know a better way, that would be much appreciated. But anyway, you've got your camera here. Oh, and something that I didn't point out in the beginning is you want to make sure that this camera is far enough back. Right now, it's not getting the whole thing. So I'm just going to slide this down to about right there. You can see, we've got the camera. Again, you can use these X orthographic, or I'm sorry, this compass to click to a quick orthographic view from that direction. That's pretty helpful. But I didn't need to use that. I've been doing this a little bit, so I know what to do. And then from here, we'll just go ahead and render it again. So I clicked F12 to get that render up. Sorry for the dead air here, but we're just going to let that load up. Now, again, you can see this lighting, the shading, it's probably not ideal. Who knows? There's definitely things that can be incorporated into this. There's other tutorials out there about how to create a normal map, which could also be used to kind of bring out some more details in addition to just this color that you have here. So now that we've got this, we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to save this, just save it in my downloads. It's just going to be tree demo. Oops, I'm actually going to save that again. And I want to show a quick step that helps this go pretty quick, but you're just going to go to this file format, select Targa as your file format, and then your color is RGBA. That will include the alpha in your image file. And then the other good trick to do, since these are going to be transparent objects, you're going to want to color key them with MX Bikes' little naming convention. So the way you do that is just add a CK underscore to the beginning of your image texture name. And then that way, when you convert this to an EDF file later, it will know that this image should be color keyed. Color key basically just means that the alpha is read as one of two values, or there's only two values available. It's either black or white. And so therefore it kind of gives you a much crisper, more clean image when we're dealing with alpha channels. So you're going to want to add that to your image and click save as image. Cool. I've got that image saved. And what I'm going to do now is delete this. You don't need it. You can come back later and use it for something else if you want. Oh, looks like the leaves are still there. I'm just going to actually delete everything out of here to show you from scratch. And we'll just go to the shading view. I'll add a plane. I'm going to rotate it up 90 degrees. I'll go here and add a new, just clean up my project. I like to do this just because I don't like having stuff in here that I don't use. And I like things to get their own names as I'm adding them. Cool. So I clean up stuff until basically it's clean, until everything's gone. Okay, so I add a new texture to this plane. And then since it's real simple, I'm not going to rename it or anything. I'm just going to go to base color, go to image texture, and I'm going to open the image texture that I just downloaded or that I just created. So CK tree demo. Now I recommend using the preferences. Let's see, just type in Pi here and then enabling 3D viewport Pi menus. I highly recommend enabling that, making sure that all of these are enabled if you like those. You don't have to do this, but the reason why I like to do this is because if you look at this plane, the origin is dead center. And so I don't like that. I want the origin to be on the bottom. So using Control Alt X, I can use that Pi add-on and go origin to bottom, and it's now at the bottom. So I'll just move that up to 0. Cool. All right, next step is just to add a solidify. Meshes, like a plane, is like this plane is only a single side. So even though in Blender I can switch around and look at it from this side, but you can already tell it's kind of dark. If I were to enable backface culling, I don't think I'd be able to see that. So why don't we try that real fast? Viewport display, backface culling, it's gone. So as you can see, that's how a plane works, right? It only projects outwards from one direction. So when you solidify it, right? We'll show that now. I'll go in here, add a modifier, generate, solidify. You don't need it to be 0.01. I always move this back to 0. And then we need to fill either. Okay, so that's solidified. And if we turn around, it's still a little dark. I'll turn on the backface culling, and you can see with that on, I can still see my image here. Everything is looking good. We got that. I'm just going to go hover over here in the viewport right above the image. I'm going to hold Shift D. I just duplicated the plane. You don't have to move anywhere. Just click. You can see I've got two planes now. take this other plane and let's rotate it 90 degrees on the z-axis. Boom. Now you got your X tree. Cool. Well, and because of my sky texture being so dark, you're just not able to see much, but um, as I turn up some of this stuff, should start coming through. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with the transparency right now. So, oh, I know what's happening actually. My apologies. I skipped one step. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this plane just so we can kind of go back to. I don't like to redo things over and over. And so I'm just gonna delete that, go into my object shader editor and connect the alpha channel. I forgot to connect that. And so now when I go into cycles, the background should be gone. On the solidify, let's change this 0.01. Okay, I was wrong. Let's keep that at 0.01 for now. And you can see that tree is looking pretty darn good. Okay, so we've got our solidify 0.01. We've got our image connected to our color and our alpha channel in the shader editor. Again, that was just a step that you definitely need to do after adding the image here. And we'll leave that thickness at 0.01. I'm going to go ahead and apply this now. We'll do the Shift B to clone it or duplicate it, and then rotate it on its 90-degree axis. And now you see we have a X tree. I think I already said that. But anyway, we'll just grab this. We'll grab both of these, okay? And we'll hover over in the viewport again. We'll hit Control J. And now we've joined them. You can call this tree or X tree or my tree, whatever you want. And so now you've got a TGA ready to go. You've got your tree. Literally, you can just export the FBX and convert it. So by selecting and saying, by selecting the object, you're gonna export it to FBX. And then over here in the object types, select mesh, choose limit to selected objects. And then we will just download it to tree demo FBX. And there you go. There is your tree. And you should technically be able to use that with your other projects. So, we're kind of getting into some other things I didn't want to cover, but just packing textures and stuff like that can be very useful. So I guess I'll just show that demo real fast. So let's save this, save as. I'm just gonna go downloads. We'll do a new folder. I'm gonna call it tree demo. Okay, I'm gonna call this tree demo. This is gonna save me a blend file in my folder called tree demo. And then I'm just gonna file external data and then pack. So it's packed 5 files. There's probably some files I could have cleaned up. Yeah. Oops. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. I'm just cleaning up all this stuff for my project because I like to not have stuff just sort of hanging out if possible. Okay, so once again, I've saved the blend file in my tree demo folder. You can see that up here at the top, tree demo and then tree demo.blend. So I've also taken all of the resources, and what it's saying is like all those resources, and in this case, it is just this image, and the image you saw was sitting in my downloads folder, like the actual downloads folder. You may, have your blend file sitting somewhere else on your drive, and so when you pack your resources, it's basically going to pack all of those images into your blend file. So it's going to, like, you could say almost copy them into your blend file. Now, if I go file, external data, unpack resources, it's going to unpack those to tree demo. That's my folder I created. And then now it created a textures folder that I should be able to go in. Find the textures, and there's my image. So rather than, having your images sitting in your downloads, you can pack them and unpack them to kind of organize them a bit more intuitively with Blender. I really like that feature personally. It's a little confusing for me at first, but I was glad to figure that out later on. And so now we've got our tree ready to go. We can import it to our other projects. We've got it just showed you how to do our textures. But yeah, you can quickly create as many trees as you want, and you can bring in other trees that you'd like from Blender Kit if you find that helpful, or any other 3D tool that might help. But yeah, that's it. Next step really would just be to go to the Resolute Kraken tool to download and convert this to an EDF file specifically for your project. So you'd probably want to use this in your Blender project and stuff like that before doing that, and then exporting it once you have the position and the location set or scattered potentially. But anyway, that's all. It's just a quick way for anyone to really create their own version of X trees. Have a good day.